Are you guys in the middle of like a hardcore tour now, or are you just sort of casual?
We just finished 42 days, I think, on the Uproar tour.
Oh, yeah? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
we get to go home tomorrow.
You're on your way home now?
Yeah.
And home is L.A., I assume, right?
Seattle.
Oh, Seattle,
Yeah.
okay. But Duff, you're L.A. Are you an L.A. guy? Or?
Kind of both.
Oh, okay.
I'm a Seattle guy.
Oh, okay. You grew up in Seattle?
Yeah.
What is it about Seattle and great music? What is it, honestly? I mean, how does so much great stuff come out of one city like that?
There's a theory that because of the bad weather, we spend a lot of time in basements.
It makes sense. I know, but that can also go an ugly way.
Yeah, and sometimes it does.
It does, you're right. Actually, you're right. That's true.
It's the pasty skin.
Yeah.
And the serial killers. You know.
Well, that sounds great, man. It's really, again, it's refreshing to hear. Like, what do you guys think of today's music that you hear on the radio? Do you even try to listen to it anymore? It's depressing to me.
Well, there's they have that thing, the internet thing.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool way.
Right.
That's where I usually listen to most of my
And
music.
Sirius is pretty cool, something like that. Where you get,
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to listen to stuff. But I mean, a lot of like try to watch like something on MTV or like music awards. It's unwatchable.
Do they do music on MTV? I don't think they do.
I mean, it's just unwatchable. That's why when someone like I think Miley Cyrus goes nuts,
She's angry about it.
Yeah.
She wants to see a change.
Well, they latch onto that as a story because nothing else is going on.
Mm-hmm.
But Alan Thicke's kid is singing about something, God knows what. But do you guys have any new music that you like?
Well, I think like the difference here, you're talking about radio and
Right.
you can't really discover a bunch of new music on American radio. Or, we go to Europe and play.
Right.
For the last, I don't know, 15 years, whether it's Velvet Revolver or this band. Or, people go out and see live music in Europe and the UK, and that's how they discover new bands. And here, I think just geographically, it's so big.
Right.
So for us to do a tour of America, we had to get on like this Uproar tour. There's a bunch of bands, and we discovered new bands on this festival, like Middle Class Rut and.
Well, there's, there's definitely, you're definitely right in the sense that I could attest to that firsthand now because I went to go see Springsteen in Paris last summer. I had never seen him outside of the States, and I couldn't believe. I mean, you talk about 23-year-old Parisian kids who knew every song on the Born to Run album. Like they're such music fans, you know.
Yeah.
And like Duff, when you toured with Guns N' Roses, would you find that it was more passion in the fans in Europe? That's what I thought. Like it was more passion than seeing them in Jersey. Even. It was crazy.
We definitely broke first in the UK.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, like a year before we broke here.
Right.
So we would go over there and play sold-out theaters, and here we were playing like 7 people. And then also South America is a huge, like the passion there is like 5-fold of any place else on this planet.
Do you think there's too many distractions for a kid in the States? Why is that? It's insane.
I think there's a lot of good passion in the clubs,
Right.
I mean, there's people that are into music. I think it's just getting so diverse that some people ain't necessarily. It used to be you had 10 songs that you got to choose from what they suggest.
Right.
Where now, people are finding their own things, which I think it's more diversified and cool. I think that's a good thing. That it's what they call the long tail.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that the long tail's getting a little more love than the head these days,
I just saw a pretty cool documentary. I don't know if you guys saw it about the Sunset Strip. It's on Showtime right now.
Yeah.
And
we saw it on our tour bus, and he didn't even know he was in it.
Yeah, you're in it real quick, Duff. And Slash opens it up by playing at the festival, Sunset Music Festival in 2010. And they interview you briefly.
Yeah, I haven't seen it yet.
Speaking of that, we're actually playing the Roxy on October 17th on the legendary Sunset Strip.
Is there still a scene on the Sunset Strip? That's what I was gonna ask.
There will be October 17th.
Duff, your daughter's opening for you guys at the Roxy,
Yeah,
right?
I guess the cat's out of the bag. Yeah.
What's that like?
Well, like, first and foremost, I'm not a stage dad whatsoever. Like,
Right.
I didn't put, my daughters are 16 and 13, and I didn't push either of them to do music. Like, they're going to forge their own path.
Right.
And this, just like 2.5 months ago, my daughter and her friend came out of her bedroom. They'd been in there for like a couple days doing something, and they said, "Dad, we want to play a song for you." And they played this like Death Cab for Cutie song, and it was like 2 voices, and acoustic guitar, and it was eerie and cool. And these guys recorded my daughter and her friend, and it's killer.
No kidding.
Yeah, they have great voices. Both of they're naturals.
Yeah.
No kid. So I mean, that's so.
Where do they get it?
Yeah. So they're cool. They're called the Pink Slips. Has nothing to do with the walking papers at all. Like, they didn't know it really.
But it fits perfect.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it's funny. You talk about feeling you're getting old. Dice Clay was just in here 2 days ago, and his two sons are in a band. They're coming here in a couple of weeks.
They're like in their 20s or something.
I'm actually glad he
23
isn't
and
here because the
19.
last time I seen him was in Reno and I got kicked out of the casino.
What happened?
I was taking his picture. I was an idiot and taking his pictures with a. Not that I'm not still, but.
And you got thrown out of the casino?
Well, yeah, I had one of those instant Polaroid cameras, and I was just taking pictures. That's fucking Dice Clay. How about it? And they didn't like
Oh,
that
my
shit.
God.
He did, so.
Jeff toured. I know Artie will be. In this. When you were with postpartum depression, you toured with Dee Dee Ramone at some point,
Dee Dee
right?
Ramone, yeah.
Right. Well,
When he was
no,
in
that's,
shows with him.
how long? He's been dead. He hasn't been dead that long, right?
Yeah, well, I don't know, what, 8 years or something like that?
Yeah, that's a depressing thing when you talk about addiction, which I know something about. Supposedly his story was, I don't know if it's true or not, he had been clean for like 7 years, and the needle that killed him was the first thing he picked up in 7 years or something like
He
that.
was clean on the tour we were with.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He actually called us up. My impression's so bad but he called us up. We were in this hotel. It was in Spokane, Washington, and there's a legendary club called the Big Dipper there.
Yeah.
And around it, they have a hotel right around it, and so all the bands get to stay in the thing. So we played at the show and invited some people over to hang out afterwards, and he calls me up on the phone. And he's like, "Hey Jeff, I know you're having a good time over there, but you think you can keep it down, man? We got a really long drive."
Dee Dee
tomorrow."
Ramone wants you to keep it down.
Which I thought was great, and of course, I was like, I can't believe Dee Dee Ramone just called me on the phone. And I still, it's amazing how someone can be such a gifted songwriter and
Right.
touch so many people, not just, with his brilliant songs, but as well as you just get a phone call from him, and that's like one of the high points of your entire life.
Well, he definitely had good tolerance, because in the early '80s, I knew this kid. They used to do comedy at CBGB's next door in the gallery, and I knew this kid who got coke from Dee Dee Ramone. That's what he claimed. And I did some of it one night, and I was literally walking back to my place, smacking myself in the face. I don't know how pure it was. I was going, like my forehead was red. I'm like, how's he doing this?
You were asking earlier, like, about what's the problem with a lot of the music these days, and I think it's what it's cut with. Right. Who knows what that music's cut with today? It's like, they got some Pro Tools in there, some auto tune. You know what I mean? That's just like if you had the blow and it was cut with baby lacquer.
The auto tune that stuff makes me sick. I can't. I mean, if anybody could sing, I mean, it takes all the fun out of it. Duff, I wanted to ask you something about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Seeing you guys go in, it was so great, and everybody was, funny, I think, and appropriate and eloquent and stuff. What's up with Axl Rose and you guys? Do you have any relationship with him at all, or do you see him, or?
I've seen him a couple times the last couple of years, and as far as like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I don't really have a comment. Like, I went really for my own reasons,
right?
And I was thinking twice about going because.
Oh, you were?
Well, like, music shouldn't be an awards-based thing. It's like there's a lot of great music,
right.
and suddenly there's these award shows, Grammys or whatever.
And it's all just to make money, obviously. It's just a big promotion.
Yeah. So there's all of that, but I write a column for the Seattle Weekly, and when we got nominated or whatever for the Hall of Fame, I didn't even know I was doing my book tour, and one night I was doing a book talk in San Diego at a bookstore, and somebody said, "Hey, I got a question for you." Yes, what is it? How does it feel to be nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? So, well, I'll let you know as soon as I digest for a second. But so I was kind of, but a lot of people had written into my column, and I realized then and there that, like, when Iggy and the Stooges got in, even though I don't back award shows, suddenly, like, my whole belief system was sort of validated.
It made
like,
it legitimate to you when they get in, yeah.
My guys got in.
Right.
My belief system got in. So I realized the same was kind of true for a lot of fans who believed in our band, and we got in. And so I went for that reason. So as far as anybody else not going or going, I totally back their decisions too.
Every man for himself, whatever they feel, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And we
But
did what we did that night, and it felt good. It felt good being there for the, like, there was a lot of people in that arena there.
Oh God, yeah, you could
And
tell.
I knew there was a lot of people going to be watching and all of that. So just did the best.
So it wouldn't have been a situation like if Axl Rose showed up, there would have been a fist fight backstage. No, but there's no animosity.
I seriously doubt it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
John,
Hey
you got it?
Barrett, so you were about to be tenured as a professor before you started playing in walking papers?
Yeah, I had to resign my teaching. I taught at Antioch University.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
And I probably will in the future. And I actually just gave a guest lecture last week at Occidental College in Los Angeles. We had a day off, and
No
I was
way.
asked by the head of the political science department to come give a talk about political commentary and resistance in music. So I talked about some
Jeez.
examples around the world, over the last 50 years. Something I've been interested in for a long time, and studied it when I went to graduate school. And,
Yeah.
But I had to resign my teaching position to play with these guys, and
That's not
I mean,
a bad
I look at it.
And why not?
Worthwhile trade-off.
It's a
I
life
guess,
experience, man.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, rock and roll is important. It is.
Yeah.
What do you
And,
think?
yeah.
What do you think is a like if you can name one like the most important political rock band ever?
Well, I would say like the Clash.
The Clash. Okay.
Probably also I mean, a lot of it for rock and roll came out of Britain. You know,
Right.
1970s political resistance against the economic conditions there. So the Clash, the Sex Pistols. Who else? Stiff Little Fingers out of Ireland.
Is U2 a political band? I
Yeah,
guess?
definitely,
Right.
definitely.
Rage Against the
They're not
Machine.
the first, but they maybe they're the best at it.
Yeah.
Like there's an art to the whole thing.
That's right. The Clash was definitely all about the economy,
Yeah.
and the Sex Pistols too.
Yeah.
Punk rock was born out of the way the economy was in
Sure.
London at the time. Yeah.
And sometimes, like the civil rights movement in the United States is considered to be the most musical revolution in the history of man.
That's
so many
for sure.
songs.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So you went to Senegal too to study like
Yeah.
like different rhythms. Or
I did,
something?
I,
how does that work? Do you go and live out in a lean-to somewhere? How does that-
I did. I lived in a village on the coast of Senegal, a village called Diamaguène, south of Dakar, and spent some time in Senegal, in Ghana. I also went to Cuba, and then three trips to South America, to Brazil, and I did my master's thesis on shamanic music in the Peruvian Amazon. So
Wow.
What did you do there?
Some heavy stuff.
Did you do some things with a shaman there?
I did. We did a
No
lot of
way.
ayahuasca.
Yeah, I got a ayahuasca.
What is
how,
that?
how was that?
What is ayahuasca? Is it like a hallucinogen?
It's the most powerful natural hallucinogen on the planet.
Really?
Yeah.
Like how do you judge that? How much more powerful is it than?
I just kind of
peyote?
judged it from experience.
You try all of them.
It's
Yeah.
well, it's the way the shamans use it in the Amazon. They use it to come up with music and songs, and then they actually see these visual patterns, and they weave it into their clothing, and they wear their music, which is how they represent songs. Like instead of like we might put it on sheet music or on a CD, they'll
Yeah.
wear it on their clothing.
See, that's the worst thing you could say to an addict. That like George Carlin once said, there's a guy asked him after he was clean for a while, do you advocate any drug use as far as creativity is concerned? And for a young comic to hear this, he said, well, listen, coke is the worst, heroin's terrible, but I would write my stand-up act straight, and then I would smoke weed and rewrite it, and it always got funnier. So, for the best comic ever to say that,
Well, that's a natural thing, And ayahuasca, you can't get addicted to it. In fact, they use it a lot to work with drug
I'll
addicts.
find a way.
Have they compared the ayahuasca to bath salts yet? Because I'm still kind of waiting to hear some records made on bath salts.
Well, what are they, like your like Duff as well? I mean, and all you guys, is there a connection to drug use and creativity, or is that all just BS?
For me, you con yourself into that romantic notion. That,
Right. Like Hendrix wouldn't have been as good without heroin or something, but
No, like everything that I've always been a part of, like the creative part of the thing, was always not hammered.
Right.
Was not loaded. You got loaded later because you think you needed that to play, to be loose, and And then that goes to the nth degree. And
Right. And then it becomes a problem.
Yeah, most of those people, if you study their records and you find out, you'll find out that their best work wasn't made. It was made before they went to the depths.
Exactly. No.
There's a Music Cares program, which is a pretty amazing thing put by the Grammys to help people with recovery and stuff like that. And they'd put me through a rehab, and one of the things that they said they have this book called Under the Influence, and they talk about a lot of guys get loosened up
I've
after
read it.
two drinks. A guy might have the courage and not be, he's confident, but then the thing is it works for a little while, but after a while it tears you down, and then you become not creative at all.
And then you're not there at all.
So you got best just to learn how to be creative without it in the first place, and then you don't have then you won't rely on anything else.
Yeah.
Right.
I think there's a good chance Hendrix would have put out more records had he not overdosed.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, and therein lies the best point of all, right? He's dead. Yeah.
So Ben, you and Duff came and joined later. Like Walking Papers was begun, Barrett and Jeff, and then how did you guys all come together?
It was. Barrett and Jeff started recording the record before Duff and I were involved, and they had gotten midway through the recording process and asked us both to come lend a hand.
Yeah.
And once we heard the songs, we were definitely
Save it. Just save it.
I had to save it. It was horrible until we showed up. Basically. Unlistenable, and then we saved the day.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
One real quick before I'll let you guys go. Duff, reading your stuff and reading Slash's book. You talk about after the Appetite for Destruction tour, having to almost sort of come down from that 2-year experience, and you kind of find yourself in a bathroom, or Slash at least, getting high all the time. When you go into the depths of addiction like that after an experience and that kind of success, stadiums and everything, was there ever a point where you feel like, God, I'll never get out of this? I'll never get out of this drug world that I'm in?
I can speak for myself. Yeah, I was like being in a wet cardboard box that I couldn't quite punch my way out of. And when I was 21 and 20, to be honest, 19, I always thought, I'll get to this next week. I'll get to this next week. And I was 21, 22, and it got more and more. And I resigned myself to the fact, at 28 or 29, I'll be dead by the time I'm 30. And it wasn't a morose thought. It was just kind of well, that's the way it is.
Reality dealing with it.
That was it. And a lot of our comrades had fallen, so it was kind of
believable.
It was an everyday sort of thing. You were numb to it. And but yeah, right after the Appetite thing, we just blew up, and there was no internet, there was nothing then. So you were in a fishbowl, and you go to the same Ralph's store you went to, and suddenly everybody recognized you, and it takes you a little while to learn how to deal with that too.
But your family is it your family what saved you kind of from that, helped pull you out?
I'm the last 8 kids, so there was a lot of, trying to get my ass kicked, and not only by my family, but I had some good buddies that I grew up with, and
friends and family is the only reason I'm still here. I'd be, I can't judge someone who died or is in some sort of institution or jail right now that didn't have that, because without that I'd be done.
Yeah.
I'm lucky.
I was trying to prove, to my family, how cool my drug dealer was. No, he's totally fucking cool, man. This guy.
Not cool, this guy.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you're still here, man. I'm glad you guys are all here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
This was a big get for us. You guys coming by. We appreciate it.
Thank you for still being here too.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna stick around, I hope.
Cool.
I hate to do this to you. I gotta read another commercial. This football season, DraftKings.com could be crowning you a fantasy football millionaire. Yup, the winner of DraftKings Millionaire Grand Final will be winning $1 million. DraftKings, a new fun way to play fantasy football. John is doing it. True story, a guy won $100,000 in one day. $100,000 day one. Right now, my listeners get free entry into the Millionaire Grand Final. Enter Artie, A-R-T-I-E, at DraftKings.com for your free shot to be crowned a fantasy football millionaire. But you got to enter Artie, ARTIE today at DraftKings.com. For details and your free entry, visit DraftKings.com, DraftKings.com. And how do we find you guys? Is WalkingPapers.com, Facebook and stuff like that?
Walking-papers.com.
Walking-Papers?
We're on the Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
And you have another big gig coming up before you leave? You got what do you got coming up?
We're going to Texas, and we may be playing. I don't know if I should say it yet.
that's not released
There's
yet.
a Vegas gig with a band we really like that
Cool.
got proposed last night.
Awesome.
And,
All right. Well,
17th in LA at the Roxy.
and the Rocks.
And that's with
October
the
17th,
the
with,
pink
with
slips.
your daughter, with Pink Slips.
Pink
Okay.
Slips. Walking Papers,
Well,
Pink Slips.
Much good luck. Okay, guys, thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
Walking Papers. Back after these words with Pete Corielli.
The Artie Lange Show, weeknights on Audience, only on DirecTV.